Zest.
Oh, you guys are beautiful.
Is that on the podcast? Like, do people actually hear you say that, or is Eriks over there like, what the fuck is this?
Well, I clicked go live, so I guess that'll probably technically be in the video portion, but it'll not be on the audio portion, obviously. And just say Zest nice and clear into the mic for me.
Zest, we already did.
You guys are beautiful. I was playing back the Zest. Oh my god, give me a chance. Just because you guys don't got 15 different programs up right now doesn't mean that I don't.
What?
That just because you got, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to do this with you right now, Josh. I love you. Okay. Okay. I have clicked record and I feel like we're in a video game right now. That's pretty intense. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix Podcast. I am one of your lovely hostesses, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined by your other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Say hi to the folks, Josh.
Hi, folks.
All right, and we are also, for anyone who was on video, they can currently see that we are joined by a third person. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, mister.
Hi, folks. So, I'm Erik the Latvian, Eriks Questrian, or AKA Liquor Lord, AKA the bartender who kicks people out with this podcast. So I'm the best commissioner out there for our beautiful Butt, Sweat, and Beers League. Don't listen to Garlic. I mean, he runs this podcast, so you can clearly see his leadership skills over there.
Yeah, top notch. We're only starting 30 minutes late.
20 minutes late today.
Yeah. What's the big deal? If I like your attitude, Eriks.
Well, you invited me here. I come with everything.
It's true. That's true. I appreciate you bringing it. Okay, everyone. So first off, just like last time, I'm going to give a big shout out again to our boy Jack Vickers, aka what we'll now call him, the Jack of all grades. This guy again put together a over 6,000 word document breaking down all the different teams in the BSB league. So shout out to you, Jack. Also thank you to Connor Prasky, aka AIDS Ted, of our other Dynasty League. He also submitted some draft grades. So appreciate you two from coming outside the league and giving us your time. HiddenOaksOverdose@gmail.com is where you can reach us. Facebook.com/hoodpod and Anchor.fm/hoodpod is where you can talk to us, chat at us, leave us some emails or voicemails. We would appreciate that. I'm also going to now start plugging our journey to 100 subscribers on YouTube. Not because I care about YouTube or because, I don't know. If you get 100 subscribers on YouTube, you can have a custom URL. So I just want to be able to say youtube.com/hoodpod versus having to say all the different letters and characters. So if you're out there and you haven't yet, you should go subscribe to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix Podcast on YouTube so you can get that number to 100 to get a custom URL. Make a bunch of fake Google accounts if you have to. I don't care. All right. So
how many you got now?
I think we're at 7. So we're pretty close.
I saw that note and I was like, holy cow, do we actually have close to 100?
No,
and
not even.
There's no chance we're even close to 10.
No, well, we're close to 10. We're 3 away from 10.
So if we get 100, we get a custom Earl. Do we get like a hat at 150?
I doubt it. What is it, like a million
monetized?
What's that?
When do we get monetized?
I mean, we could be monetized right now. You just have to change your license on YouTube. We don't get the kind of views for it to be worth it, but...
well, so it's not tied to subscribers?
No, we could be monetized right now, as far as I understand it. So we would get checks for 12 cents. Yeah. Anyway, segment start times are in the description below. Thank you, Levi Oki Illustration, for that beautiful art you're seeing. Eriks Kesserik's not included in the art, but, you know, what can you do, buddy? So,
not yet.
So as Josh mentioned, we are only starting about a half an hour later than we thought we would. I had my computer freeze right at 1 o'clock on the button. Josh showed up late, as is characteristic of him. How are you gentlemen doing today?
I am doing great. I am doing awesome.
Josh, what about you, bud?
Well, woke up, worked out, per usual. Then I went out, did some yard work. And, I mean, I picked weeds, I mowed, changed lawnmower blades. Now, Gar, you're not a homeowner, so you probably don't know this, but when you change a lawnmower blade, and you got to do it in your driveway so everyone can see. And so I did it. I stood over it like Brad does a fresh cut, like, strip of grass, arms on my hips, nodding. Everybody that drove by, like, yeah, change that blade.
So you were just big dick swinging in your front yard?
Yeah. It was a mulching blade, so a little bit high class.
No big fucking deal. Eriks, are you a homeowner? Can you relate?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
only
man.
the privileged get that here in Europe.
Ooh, only the privilege. Hear that, Josh? Check your privilege at the door, boss. Jeez.
Sorry. God, there's just so much privilege that I have. I gotta watch out being white, watch out being a homeowner.
American.
We don't have
Anywho.
privileges.
Eriks, I don't know how much you want to... Actually, we'll just save that for the next section. I have one more piece of chit-chat before we just we're going to like interview Eriks almost a little bit here so everyone can get to know him a little bit. But Josh, I'll ask you, and well, actually, Eriks, I'll start with you. Did you watch the last podcast by chance, the one where it was our other Dynasty League?
I think I did, yeah.
Do you remember there being a...
True.
Yeah, I mean, I would skip through too, because look at us. Do you remember there being a comedy bit at the beginning?
No, I do not.
All right, Josh, then on to you. What was your favorite Walter's comedy bit memory?
I think it was when he stopped talking.
Well, you can go ahead and cherish that memory forever because the Walter's comedy bit has officially died. Me and Walters were talking today. He's not that interested in doing that, so one time only. One time only.
Wow. Now I feel bad, but
R.I.P.
I'm over it.
Nah. He said he just wants to run our daily fantasy league thing next year instead, so he'll still be around, just not probably on camera. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and move into our FanTASTY zone. Josh, do you have any sponsors for the FanTASTY zone today?
Sorry. I'm finishing up my prep.
Nailed it.
I have Mother's animal crackers. They're the frosted kind, no biggie.
Eriks, do you have any sponsors for the FanTASTY zone today?
I got 2 almost old bananas.
Oh, what brand are those bananas?
I don't know, the Lithuanian ones.
There's not a sticker on it that says the brand? I mean, come on.
No, you just get them in the marketplace. Oh, no, there's a sticker on. It's... No, it says they're like ecological or something. Yeah, they don't have a brand. Right. We don't believe in brands here in Eastern Europe.
No, no brands. Yeah. That's against the Eastern European way. No. I comprehend.
Yeah,
that's not the communist way. Yeah, so
I like the backdrop you got going there. It looks like you painted it nicely to hide the war and corruption behiund you.
Yeah, only showing the ceiling, can't show the blood-stained carpets, of course.
Yeah, you don't see the 20 soldiers on my left. Yeah, so I mean, we don't get to talk to a lot of Americans here. So
big moment.
I'm experiencing some privilege here myself. Yeah, you know.
Wow, Eriks.
I think you're okay by not communicating with Americans too frequently. We're not that good.
No, we like
Dar
to.
and I are, but we're the exception.
I don't know. Anyways, for the FanTASTY Zone today, I've got an Arizona tea, but she's actually the Arnold Palmer Southern style. We got half and half, so it's sweet tea and pink lemonade. No big deal. Just go ahead and flex out that pink lemonade. Oop, I forgot I have to open it in the mic. It's been a month or so. Oh. Delicious. And also sponsored by you, Josh. I don't eat it on the pod because I don't think I could talk well and eat it, but I got a Butterfinger as well. So,
Nice.
All right. Eriks, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Start from birth and then go chronologically year by year, spending 5 minutes on each year. Go.
I was born in a farm, in the commie farm, like all we Latvians do. So then you just toss them in the bag, swirl them around, and you see what comes out after 18 or so years.
Excellent.
Oh,
That's about it. Yeah.
what color bag?
You don't get to see the color of bag. Yeah. You just.
So are you like a butterfly then? You're tied in there and then you just kind of burst out after 18 years? Do you have butterflies in Latvia?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Two kinds. Yeah.
Two kinds.
What are the two kinds, if I may ask?
The yellow one and the white one.
Ooh, I would think I'd be a yellow kind of guy myself. I think there's enough white in this world already.
Yeah. So yeah, you just that's how we live here. Yeah. With two butterflies and a bag until you're 18.
Wow. Was your bag experience nice? Would you look forward to?
Well, I did come out of it, so yeah.
How many people don't come out of the bag?
Everyone else.
Oh, so it's like a battle royale, last man standing type bag situation.
It's like thing going on, yeah. So. Yeah.
Holy shit! All right. So we got a bag and we got two butterflies out in Eastern Europe. I love it. Icon.
I'm allowed to say that. Yeah. All right.
You got Putin over your shoulder there, or who's the?
Nah. He only comes out for the important stuff. Yeah.
Who is the president or the? I don't know, chancellor or whoever of Latvia. I assume you have some sort of leader.
Yeah, sure. It's some lawyer. We got Egils Levits. Yeah, he used to be a judge somewhere. I don't know. Like presidents in Latvia, they don't get any power at all. Yeah, it all goes to Putin. Yeah. So
okay.
Anyway,
So it's not like a president prime minister situation where they just switch power back and forth and then,
No, to be honest, we get like 100 people are in Saima, which is basically like our parliament. They create all the rules and everything. So president is just for meetings, diplomacy stuff, and not worth it all. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there you go, Josh. We learned something about Latvia today. President meaningless. Putin rules all. So, Eriks, obviously you spent 18 years in a bag, probably a burlap sack if I had to guess. But you spent 18 years in a bag. Were you in the bag, or was it not until you got out of the bag that you got into American football and even further fantasy football? You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I got into it 5 years ago. It was actually mostly because of my two fellow Latvian league mates in the Butt Sweat and Beers League, Jaunk and Edgars. Yeah, I don't know how they got into it. I think Edgars went to the States when he was younger. He got into there. He's probably cursing at me right now because I'm telling it wrong. But yeah, one day we had a couple of beers. And they told me, hey, you want to play fantasy football? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. And I had my first draft. I completely auto-drafted it. And I finished 8th place out of 7. Yeah, so
8th out of 7, not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. And but the years have gone by. I've gotten better at it. So yeah, and here I am running my own league and running it damn well, I'll say.
I bet you would say that. So your buddies got you into it. Do you commission any other leagues, or is the Dynasty League your first endeavor into being the supreme leader?
No, I commission a redraft league, but that's basically for us three, and then we just turn on we get some more people from Sleeper, and as we talked about in the chat, we now started to run like a weird kind of league that with different kind of weird rulings. So I usually commission 3 leagues during the season, but the Dynasty League is the main league. Yeah.
Okay, and then so I guess I assume your first experience was redraft, yeah?
Yeah.
And then
10 team redraft, yeah.
So what made you more interested in Dynasty and wanting to start your own Dynasty? Was it you through like, this sounds fucking awesome, or how do you get into, because I didn't know about Dynasty until Josh brought it up to me and we started our own. So how did you get into that?
Mostly Reddit, yeah, and then it was, this sounds fucking awesome, I want to do it. Didn't know how to do it because Dynasty at first it sounded like it doesn't work if you don't know like 10 or 12 people to do it with year in, year out. But so I tried to commission it and got some pretty good people from Reddit. Yeah, so.
And us.
Yeah, some pretty good
guys,
people,
yeah.
And then the two of them. Well, I mean, technically Josh found it, then he just texted me. I never found it, but... okay, so I mean, this league is going into its 3rd year. How do you think it's been going so far? We started on Yahoo, transitioned to Sleeper. What has been your experience so far being a commissioner? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you feel about the league?
I actually feel good about it. I was at first I thought we're gonna have a lot more turnover every year, but so far we only had like 3 or 4 people that switched their teams, and looks like this year everyone will stay. Well, I guess we have to get to the week 1 and then we'll see. But
right.
But yeah, at least everybody showed up at the rookie draft, so that's good.
That was good. Yeah, I know there's I forgot Edgars didn't pick until the 4th round, so the fact that he was tuned in that whole time was pretty incredible.
Well, I know where he lives, so he didn't have a choice.
So then, I honestly don't know the breakdown of all the members. I assume as the commissioner, you have a better breakdown. So there's 3 of you in Latvia, yeah, you and your 2 buddies. There's Josh and I saw there's another person in the Central Time Zone. I remember that Smith is in the Pacific Time Zone just because I was creeping during the draft, so I would know kind of when he would pick. And there's 3 people in Australia, or where? I guess where does everyone fall on the map?
That's correct. There's 1 in UK as well.
Okay.
You guys are in Central Time Zone.
Nailed it. I
think there's Luca is somewhere in New York, Eastern Time Zone.
Good guess. Yeah.
Smithow is as you said, Pacific.
Yep.
Dubby Dave, I think I can't really follow through. At first, he was in Eastern Time Zone, but for the rookie draft, he was in UK. So somewhere in the ocean, I guess.
He was in the ocean. Okay.
Yeah,
he was paddling.
Yeah, he was trying to get the fuck out of here.
For a while.
3 of us in Latvia and 3 Australians. I guess that I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. So there's Droppin as well. I think I don't know where he is. Somewhere in the States. He's American. Yeah. Okay,
that might be the other person in the Central Time Zone. Or what about Morts? Is Morts one of you or one of the Australians?
He's Australian, yeah.
Okay. That's the guy with the Jerry Jones picture. I remember that. Okay. So we're kind of go all over the globe here. Every shade of white we could find on the map. Or I guess I assume everyone's white based on all the countries. It could be otherwise, but okay. I got a nice little background there. Before we just dive into breaking down all the different BSB teams, is there anything else you'd like to say before we just start getting into the nitty gritty?
Nah, let's just get into it. Yeah.
Let's just get into it. All right, Josh, are you ready? I don't think I've seen you pay attention this whole time, but is your prep done?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
What are you
Funny
doing?
dog video.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. No, I got it pulled up. I'm ready. I'm just wondering who. So I'm in here, and then there's you.
Yep.
And then we have the anonymous Liger and anonymous Ibex. One of those, I'm guessing, is Eriks. Is the other one
Yes.
Putin?
Maybe.
I think American football is a disgrace to Putin. I don't know. Oh no, wait, doesn't he
Maybe
have?
it too.
Doesn't he have an old Patriots Super Bowl ring? Putin? No,
I'm not aware of it. Why
Neither
would
am I.
you?
I don't know. I thought he bought it. I thought he bragged about it at some point. Okay, maybe not. All right, let's dive into it then. Josh, since you've been pretty quiet this whole time, do you want to just start going down Luca? I know we've got the roster there. We also have the draft. We have Connor's draft grade. We have the 2021 trade capital or draft capital. Josh, go ahead and get us going on Luca.
Yeah, the organization of the spreadsheet is top notch. I'll just let you know right now.
Oh, yeah. How much work did you put into the spreadsheet, Josh? Just 5 cells?
Five cells, but then I don't know, 10 cells, 11. I typed my name, so yeah, 11 cells.
You can organize it next time.
Looking over Luca's here. Talk about draft picks. Holy. He picked 8th, 13th, 17th, 22nd, 24th, 26th, 29th. And then 4 more after that even. Took 6 wide receivers, 7 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks. I mean, I said he has some quarterbacks. I said Herbert. If Herbert pans out, that'll be nice. Foles somehow loses to Derpy Derp Face McDerp Derp. That's Mitch Trubisky. And that is if, Foles pans out for them as well. He'll have a couple there, but Brady's going 6-10 and retiring. Another woof of a position is his running backs. Mixon can be good, but hasn't had support in that Trash offense. Hopefully Burrow helps out with that. The Gibson pick in the second wasn't bad if he can stay healthy. In Washington, since everybody else is, the Geis is always injured, so I think it's just the water out that way. I didn't know what to do about his wide receivers. He has a lot of them, even after drafting 7. He's probably putting a rookie out each week and hoping he picks the right one of the top 3 that he took between Lamb, Mim, and Higgins. Otherwise, he better hope that some of those younger guys on his bench right now develop into something, because otherwise he has 25 roster spots of wide receivers for 10 points.
Okay, Eriks.
That's all I got. I'm not talking anymore. Yeah.
I know you said you had some things jotted down, Eriks. Do you want to go ahead and give your take?
Sure. So, first of all, Luca is the hero of the league, because he took this team after it was first auto drafted, and for the first year, I think he basically, the owner didn't do anything, and I don't remember why, but I ended up kicking him from the league, probably because he was inactive. So yeah, I really like what he's done with the team. He got 11 draft picks. He had a pretty good draft. He got lucky with the CD Lamb pick, because there was some idiot that decided to steal my thunder, and I'll touch up on that a bit later.
Okay, thunder was stolen. Okay.
So the team obviously still needs some work. It's probably going to end up on the lower tier this year. I like Deontay Johnson, obviously, Keyshawn Johnson, Preston Williams. I start to see some potential with this team. So that's about it from me. Yeah.
Okay. And then, since I'm not going to give my own take, since I am an active member of the league and I can't be above it like the commission here, I'm just going to go and read what some other people submitted. So Connor gave a draft grade of a B+ to Luca here. He says, this team has a lot of needs, but I love the first pick. I'm going to need a better situation for reading this, because that's too fucking small. The team has a lot of needs. CeeDee Lamb is my only wide receiver that I could see cracking my top 5, and you got him at 8. Going with the best player available in the second round was great. Grabbing Mims and Higgins, then scooping up some running backs later. Don't like the Herbert pick, but that's fine. And you missed on Troutman in the 4th, which is a steal, but that's what kind of Connor broke down. Just a brief draft breakdown there. And then, so you said this is one of your buddies. I just have him abbreviated in here as Jaunk. That's how I would describe it, pronounce it as American. But is your buddy, how do you pronounce it? It starts with a J.
Jaun counts. Yeah, but you can call him John. His name is Janis, so it's basically like Latvian John or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, us Americans know Giannis. There's a very famous NBA player currently, Giannis. I don't know his last name, but he's big on the Milwaukee Bucks, very close to here in Minnesota.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
What was that last name, Josh? Oh, he's too busy chewing. Look at him.
I said it's Janis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis, perfect. Definitely not Giannis, but Giannis. So Giannis submitted some gibberish from Hawkins. One more time for me. I'm not going to get it right, but just so the people can hear it.
Jaun counts.
Yeah, I'll never get that right. We're going to call him Giannis instead. No fucking chance I'm getting that. Okay. He said, look, picking first means your team is probably not very good and would be an understatement in this situation. It's a mess. However, hats off to Luca for jumping in and trying to right the ship. The team needs... this team has needs in all positions, mainly quarterback and running back, and with 8 total draft picks, most of the needs were met. I do not know if the trade for Foles, Mixon, and a second rounder for the first overall pick was a good decision. I would have gone full rebuild mode and gone for any of the top ranked running backs, but only time will tell. So that was some gibberish from Giannis. What did you think about that trade, Eriks? Josh, I don't think you were paying attention, but he traded the 1 first overall pick for I forget, it was Foles and whatever else he said. But do you think that was a good move, or do you think CEH would have been a better player?
No, I actually like the trade because he got another pick. He got Mixon, who has pretty good potential. I'll always take like a proven player over a rookie. It doesn't matter if it's 101. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe Foles was just to throw in there. Maybe he got still some backups. Foles, is he still in Jack? He's still in.
He's in Chicago now.
Bear.
He's behind.
So he could start this the season. Yeah. He's got Dalton. Dalton probably won't play, but Brady and Foles, yeah. At least if one of those gets injured, he gets a backup. But yeah, I like the trade. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember thinking Mixon is pretty good, but it kind of depends on if you like the Bears or not the Bears, the Bengals or the Chiefs better in that situation for me. So, all right. Does anyone ever have any other thoughts about Luca, who came in last place last year, but is trying to rebuild from the ground up?
I think it's pretty good. Nope. Everything was said.
All right, Josh, go ahead and start us off again then with Droppin.
Right. So, Droppin, I just noticed he had the first and the second overall pick. So good for him there. Got two of the top running backs, CH and DeAndre Swift. Going over to my little recap of his entire roster, his quarterback's not bad, but not god tier. Rodgers should be a solid start most weeks, and if Goff goes back to his pre-bad Todd Gurley and shines again with that wide receiver core, he should, that would be a solid start for when Rodgers eventually hands the torch over to the soon-to-be 15 times Super Bowl champion Jordan Love. If not, weeks 12 on should be good for Hurts when Carson Wentz gets hurt eventually. Running backs, thank God he drafted a couple. Would have been awkward to start Lynch in week 1, considering Lynch isn't playing right now. Not a lot of depth, fairly young if you left out Lynch and Gore, though. So hopefully those guys pan out. I nicknamed his wide receivers his entire roster because it looks like the ultimate what could have been group. It's a lot of wide receivers that you hear on Reddit and you hear all over the place as the next best thing. Just looking at this, Corey Davis is one, Travis Benjamin, Jarius Wright, Jordan Matthews, just a lot of names. John Ross. John Ross did kind of turn it on last year a little bit, but he also has Hardman, John Brown, who stepped it up, Gallup, and Woods. So those 4 there, I could see making it into his starting lineup quite frequently. His tight ends, he has Kelsey. So that's a solid start, must start every week. He is in his 30s, but he does seem to avoid putting himself in position to get hurt. And then taking 2 in the draft will help with his development and help as they develop. One of them is in New England. One of them is in New Orleans. Obviously, they like to pass in those places. Maybe not New England so much anymore, but we'll see. He didn't have a lot of picks. I said that early on in this before I saw some of the other numbers that people had, but he took players in need from what I could see based on his roster.
All right, Eriks, you're up, my man. What do you think about Droppin here?
So Droppin is actually had the biggest fall from his last year position when he finished second.
Ooh, bringing out some stats. I like that. Some
Second
history.
to last, from almost last. But I think it's mostly because his trades. It's just the trades haven't worked out for him. I mean, he traded away his first rounder for Michael Gallup. I'm not sure about that. He traded away Leonard Fournette for Corey Davis, Curtis Samuel, and a second rounder.
Oof.
And Aaron Rodgers for first as well. I'm not sure about that. He got himself 2 pretty good running backs, talent-wise, Hilaire and Swift. I'm not sure about Swift, though, just because his landing spot. The Lions, they are known for ruining running back careers, and I'm still hurting over Kerryon Johnson. I was a big Kerryon guy when he was drafted, yeah. I think he's solid at tight end. He got Kelsey and Jarwin over there. A lot of wide receivers, and as Josh said, a lot of them are like big question marks. So he still needs help over there. And I think, sorry, Droppin, but I think you're gonna finish somewhere in the lower tiers next year as well.
Tough to be Droppin. Okay, so I'm glad you brought up the DeAndre Swift thing, because that was going to be a question I had, but I'll go ahead and read Connor's, aka AIDS Ted's draft grade again. He gave Droppin a C+. He writes, "You had the top 2 picks and skipped Taylor. It's just sad, really. Swift is a swine pick. Swift is a swine pick. Swift is a fine pick. I have him as my 4th, but missing out on Jonathan Taylor makes my heart hurt. Troutman that late is sweet, and I love taking a flyer on Jalen Hurts." So, short and sweet out of AIDS Ted there, but he had to give him a C for passing on Jonathan Taylor with the first 2 picks. It's not like you had to pick running back. He had 2. 2 chances there. So anyways, so we did get some gibberish from Giannis, but we also got some grades and then a huge document from the jack of all grades, Jack Vicker. So I've decided I'm going to go back and forth between the gibberish and the jack of all grades. So here's what Jack had to say about Droppin's team. So for quarterbacks, I think, like you guys were saying, Goff's best days are behind him, but hopefully he can just fill in for Rodgers until Hurts becomes relevant. For running backs, he said, I feel like your starters are Carson and CEH, so hopefully CEH wins the job early and Carson doesn't lose to Hyde or get hurt. For wide receiver, Jack says, I feel like you have a true 1, but not sure about a true 2. So you could use some help here, maybe getting a nice startable wide receiver week in and week out. He said he loves the tight ends at a drop in here. And then for this little summary, he said, overall, this team is not that far from Jesus. The team is not that far off for finishing 11th. A lot of F's there. Couldn't do it in my brain. For making a decent playoff push. So you got a chance here dropping according to Jack. Still think you're ways off from the top 6, but if you make a couple moves, I could see you being close next year, if not this one. So kind of the same sentiment as Eriks. This year, probably not so much, but if you keep doing the right things, Droppin, we could see you in the playoffs sometime soon. So anyone else have any other thoughts on Droppin?
Nope.
All right, Josh, hit us with that Morts.
For quarterbacks, all I said is Wilson better not get hurt, because I'm not a big fan of Derek Carr as far as fantasy value goes, and Mariota's his other quarterback. So Wilson better not get hurt. That's really all I got to say there. Granted, this league, from what I recall, quarterbacks are hoarded, and so there's none on the waiver wire either. So makes it a little bit tough on him. Where some people will hoard their wide receivers. This is where somebody finally hoarded running backs. He got Jonathan Taylor at 3. And then 2 more later on, which will make it fun to decide between his 500,000 running backs. But I mean, Jonathan Taylor probably going to be one of those guys, not necessarily in a starting role right off the bat, just because you want to see what they do with Mac too. But he has, David Montgomery, Rashad Penny was doing well in Seattle for a bit last year. Jonathan, no, never mind. That's not the Jonathan I was thinking of. But yeah, he's hoping for some young guys to step up. Justice Hill did okay at times. But my guess is David Montgomery and Jonathan Taylor are going to be in a starting lineup for the most part. Wide receivers, by far his strongest position group. Corey Coleman, it's a guaranteed solid group. So good job there having Corey on your bench. That was very, very sarcastic, by the way. I was someone else who drafted Corey Coleman and ended up dropping him because of how bad he is. But he does have Keenan Allen, Beckham, and then N'Keal Harry if he's healthy, and then Tate and Moore as well. Taking Pittman in the second was nice as well. I think that with Indy, they're kind of searching for some wide receivers at this time. They took some, I forget the name already last year. Was it Isabella and
Paris Campbell?
What? Yeah. Yes! So possible that Pittman can contribute with that young core. O'Doyle rules for tight end. Got to get that plug in there. Starting Hooper, though, when he's playing, obviously, just because last year Hooper did take, I think, gigantic leaps forward.
You have an absolutely breathtaking Heine.
Thank you. Draft was nothing flashy, nothing risky, nothing to worry about. How you doing? I actually typed that.
Good ending spot there, Josh. Good conclusion. How you doing? All right, Eriks, what do you think about Morts here?
So he's the guy that loves math and sports, as he told himself, but he can't seem to update the Sleeper app to get notifications. So that's one part that he needs to work on. But overall on his team, I really love Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to be a stud. He has a great landing spot. I like Pittman as well. Basically, I loved his draft. He did constantly steal some picks that I was eyeing on, but the team overall has a lot of question marks, and I think he needs to decide what he wants to do, either compete or tank for some better draft picks. Because at the moment, I just see him finishing somewhere between, I don't know, 6th till 9th place for a couple of years, and he should start trading some players for picks or some picks for players just to move out from that middle of the pack. That's about it.
All right, so draft grades by AidesTad. He gave Morts an A- here. He says getting Jonathan Taylor at the 3rd overall pick is a run to the podium type of pick. He was Connor's number 1, so you get great value with that pick. Pittman is a great receiver and good value at the spot he was taken as well, but Connor writes, you miss on Keyshawn Vaughn. And with the hodgepodge of 3rd string and frankly unrosterable backs, I would have taken a stab at Vaughn, who I had in the mid to late 1st round. But that said, Kelly could potentially get a good chunk of carries this year. So Joshua Kelly was his 3rd pick. He's a Charger. All right, so now we're going back to some gibberish here. Gibberish from Janis. Every time he gives a little title, he says, you can trade with other teams, right? That was his title for Morts. Janis writes, the team is decent, but decent will not win you this league. Russell is great, but the NFC West seems to get tougher each year, and a good backup option would be nice. Something that Carr and Mariota is not. The wide receivers and tight ends are pretty good, and the running back lineup got some help in the draft, but certainly not enough to fight for the championship. A trade or two could help this team a lot. So basically everyone's saying the same thing. Morts, get off your ass. Trade some players, trade some picks, do something, because this team as is ain't gonna get you diddly squat.
Yeah. All right. Garlic.
Go ahead and fucking roast me. What do you got, bud?
Well, I don't know if you've looked at any of my notes, but for the quarterbacks, I just wrote insert fart noise.
We don't have any
That
fart
was a
noises
joke
on the
because he
sound.
traded for Kirk Cousins.
I can do that. I can do this.
That sounds about right. And that's a post Chipotle there. Ryan Tannehill, obviously, he took tremendous leaps forward after leaving Miami. So I think he's going to be one of your go-to quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, although, in Minnesota, he would be, I would say he'd be that guy to start every week. But when he only throws the ball 11 times one week or a couple times and has those games where you just don't know what the hell he's thinking, it kind of steers me away from him as fantasy quarterback. So Ryan Tannehill is probably where I see most of your starts coming from. Who needs more than one running back when you have Saquon? Probably somebody who wants to win. So hopefully Damian Williams isn't hurt too much by the CH pick, because Jordan Howard and Marlon Mack is likely not going to get as many carries. So that he's having declining value there. You did take AJ Dillon, where I do like AJ Dillon in the Green Bay system if they're going to what they're running in Tennessee right now. But he's also one of those guys who's not going to get a lot of carries his first and maybe even his second year. Wide receiver, Josh Garden. You're done. That's all you need. But then you got a lot of youth, which I think is, and I think good youth as well. So Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Tyler Boyd, Allen Robinson took steps forward last year in Chicago with Trubisky throwing to him. So that's, good there. I just said yum because those guys are going to be go-to guys for a while. Probably some good trade value as well. Tight ends, you got Mandrews. My man, you're set for life. Good job. Obviously, I was high on him last year for anybody who listened to the podcast. So you got 4 picks. You got a tank of a running back in Green Bay, a bust in Tampa Bay, and 2 tight ends. So I gave you an A++. Just
for taking a Green Bay player?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And you got Devin Ass.
Aussie.
Yep.
All right. Eriks, what do you think about the future championship squad here?
Well, I really hope this podcast will do better than your team because it won't do well. I'm not sure about that AJ Dillon pick, just because I think the backfield in Green Bay is starting to get a bit crowded. I'm not sure about the situation with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. I think one of those contracts are going to end.
Both of them.
Soon. Both of them. Yep,
this is the last year for both of them.
All right. Well, that we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Kirk Cousins will make you sweat every Sunday because he will fumble at the right moment.
Don't worry, he'll be on my bench.
Give your opponent the edge, but I guess you're used to that. Yeah. So and I should know because I traded him to you. The running backs they're mostly backups. Damian Williams, Jordan Howard, Mack could become a backup this year as well with Jonathan Taylor. There are some flashes in your team with Barkley. I like Mark Andrews, Thielen, Metcalf, Sutton, but you need to work on that depth. And I have projected you to finish in the lower tier this year.
I'm not making the playoffs yet again?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I told Garlic to draft Keyshawn Vaughn over AJ Dillon.
It's true.
Do you think he should have?
I would make that same pick. Yeah.
All right. Well, since the only 2 people on the podcast who can defend themselves a little bit from these roasts that are coming in are me and Eriks, I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity to do that now. So obviously going into the draft, I didn't have my first rounder, which would have been the 4th overall pick that was traded by the fucking Bears fan who traded it away before I got the team. So didn't have that pick, unfortunately. I probably would have taken... who was there, J.K. Dobbins. So I was picking at 12th in the first round, and so you can't get too excited at 12th. You just kind of gotta let the draft fall to you. But I was kind of thinking, based on Ryan Tannehill being my really only guy, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a quarterback at 12. I figured I almost guaranteed Tua would fall to me at 12, or at least in my mind, I was like, no one's gonna take Tua in the first. So, and then Joe Burrow and Tua get taken, which fucked me up. And then so I traded out of the 12th pick, and then Justin Jefferson fell to 12th. And I wanted, if Justin Jefferson would have been there at 12, I would have taken Justin Jefferson because I'm a homer. So the draft didn't go the way I wanted to. That's the way she goes. I took A.J. Dillon over Keyshawn Vaughn because I think A.J. Dillon has the better long-term value. I also took Keyshawn Vaughn in my other dynasty draft, so I try and diversify my teams, whether that's a good strategy for people or not. But I play in 7 dynasty leagues, so I don't want my teams all be the same. I took Tyler Johnson because he's a homer pick, and then I just took 2 tight ends for shits and gigs. So that's what I was thinking there, in case anyone wants a look into my mind. Also, shout out to Micka for being an asshole. He told me he was going to take Justin Jefferson at pick like 1-9 or 110, whatever his pick was. So then I traded him my 12th pick, and then he took fucking Jalen Reagor at fucking 10 or whatever it was. Fuck you, Micka. I could have had Justin Jefferson. Anyways, we'll go into the draft grades here. Draft grades by AIDS Ted. He gave me a B. He notes that I didn't have a first-round pick because I ended up trading out of it, but the second-round pick was used to address the hole at running back. He doesn't really like the pick, though. He also did not like A.J. Dillon. He's also saying that Keyshawn was right there and you didn't take him, but yet again, we tend to disagree on this year's rookie class. Tyler Johnson in the third, some would say is a stretch, but I like him being picked here. KJ and Vaughn really didn't do much for me. So I think he's just saying the players that were on the board didn't really excite him. For one of my picks, I don't know. And so last time was gibberish by Giannis. Now we're moving on to the Jack of all grades summary. Oh, fuck. Why is this one so long? Oh, because it's mine. Ha, I'm just kidding. All right, so Jack broke down my quarterbacks, and he says, I see now why you traded for Kirk, though he isn't a top 10 option, but also none of my other ones. So Ryan Tannehill actually had a pretty good year last year. I like Tannehill as my starter this year, but we'll see if he regresses or not. He notes that I don't have a lot of RB depth. I think going into the draft, I had only 4 or 5 on my roster, and I only drafted 1, so that's rough for me, but holy hell, my wide receivers are stacked, according to Jack. Shout out. That's really all I got going for me. He is a big fan of Mandrews, just like Josh. And then he says, overall, your wide receivers and tight ends are scary as hell. Surprised your team was 9th, because I don't see you finishing that low this year. Take that, Eriks. Probably your lowest spot here is quarterback, so if you can trade some draft capital or maybe some wide receiver or tight end depth for a top 12 option, I think your team jumps into top 6 easy. So one last note, since I forgot about it. I had Andrew Luck going into last year, and so when Andrew Luck fucking retired, I had Andy Dalton, Kyle Allen, and Mitch Trubisky as my starting quarterbacks for 8 weeks. So that was a rough fantasy start for me last year. Anyways, let's move on to whatever you said, Giannis.
Yeah.
Josh,
yeah, I'm still here.
Are you sure? Not
Yeah.
playing Galaxy Quest on your phone, are you?
Never. Quarterbacks, I guess, it's not the worst. I don't feel comfortable throwing Jimmy Garoppolo out there just because that offense it's through the run game. If any team puts 10 guys on George Kittle, he's not going to throw a pass all game or complete one. But having Dak and Stafford are good, I think, alternatives. I've been a Stafford truther since day. I love Stafford, even though I'm a Packers fan. He's in the division. I just think that it's hard to get him off the field. We'll see how Dak does. I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's too volatile. He can have good days. He could have bad days. It's like most people, but I just feel like he's all over the place with his. There's not many flashy names for running back, but I do like him. He has Kamara, who is probably his flashiest. I mean, he's a stud. But then I also like Jamal Williams. He is in that contract year. Last year, he was kind of that, I'm drawing a blank now. He was that change of pace back in Green Bay. Obviously, he's in a contract year this year, so who knows what happens in the future. He may go somewhere and start. He may go somewhere and do what he's doing now. He may stay put. And then Miles Sanders, I like him as well. I thought he was doing great last year in Philly until he got hurt. So I think that those three there are pretty solid considering. If Scary Terry stays healthy and produces like he did the first couple of weeks last year, he'll be solid. Otherwise, Tyler Lockett, Diggs, hopefully in a new system will do well. And then taking Judge Judy is good. Was a good pick in the first. I feel it's not the prettiest position group of all time. I said this sumbitch did it. He went out and he grabbed himself from Gronk. It'll be a cute story for the first 5 weeks until he gets hurt. And
You're
has
such
to
a
petition
Gronk
to get
hater.
his life support on the field. He gets hurt every year. He got hurt last year watching Tom Brady.
And he's still the best.
Overall for the draft, solid picks all around. He drafted few wide receivers. Zach Moss in Buffalo is, they have Singletary, but it's running back short shelf life, and a lot of them are doing a kind of a running back by committee. But then also taking Love in the third to solidify that quarterback group of the future 4 years from now. I think he drafted a 14-time MVP, 15-time Super Bowl champ.
You are here. I don't think you. I've played it a couple times, but I don't think you heard that, Josh. This is my new favorite sounder we got, and it's Aaron Rodgers.
Somebody needs to mute that.
So anytime you say something dumb, I'm just going to make Aaron Rodgers mute you.
Okay.
Eriks, what do you got? This is your buddy here. Don't hold any punches.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was really surprised when I looked clearly at his team, because this team has a lot of potential with a solid group of quarterbacks. You can start any of them most weeks. Maybe Stafford is a bit more of a streamer, but he can easily win you weeks, and there's nothing to add on that. Running backs, I don't see why Alvin Kamara couldn't bounce back. We'll see what happens with in Green Bay with Jamal Williams. Maybe if stars align right, even you could start Kerryon Johnson as a flex. I still hope.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, wide receivers, Lockett, Diggs, McLaurin, everything's solid. Maybe I'm wrong about Jerry Jeudy. So the thing about Jerry Jeudy, I really don't like him. I think he will injure himself shortly after the season starts, just because the way he runs really, really aggressively. That is like hard on knees and ankles. But I mean, that's just what I've seen. But I predicted that Geis would be injury prone. So
you're a little
maybe
bit
I'm
of a
right
savant
there,
here, is what
maybe
I'm
not.
hearing. You can predict the future?
Yes, that is one of the gifts you get by spending 18 years in a bag. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Zach Moss. So yeah, he did went out to get Gronk last year by spending half of the fab over there. We ridiculed him, but I guess he's a savant, some kind of a genius. I don't know. But having said all that, I know this guy has the worst fantasy football luck ever. He always drafts very well. He always builds a really great team. But I can tell you right now, half of this team will be injured before week 2.
Oh,
yes.
Giannis.
So don't take these guys in redraft leagues. I mean, yeah. The guy is just unlucky in fantasy football. Yeah, I mean, in our redraft leagues, we have a pink shirt that's basically given to the last place. Once we gave it to him, we haven't. There's just no need to take it back. Yeah. So But
Do you have to stand on a street corner,
I
wear it in a
still
bar, or tell me more about this pink T-shirt real quick.
It's just a pink T-shirt with a unicorn on it, and it says "I suck at fantasy football" with some stars on it. So yeah, it's and the first place we usually get we order from China a cheap fantasy football like championship ring and a jersey of the winner's choice. So yeah, so that's a cool thing. But I have, if he somehow breaks his curse, I have him predicted as a contender next year.
Ooh, like contender, like top 6, or contender like in the ship?
I'd say he'll definitely get into playoffs. Maybe top three finish. I could see a top 3 finish.
Okay, Giannis. Definitely not playing any biases here for it being your buddy. I like that. Like that out of Eriks. I'm sorry, Eriks, were you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, draft grades by AIDS Ted. He gave Giannis a C+. He doesn't like the first pick. Judy is a great receiver, but CD, JJ, and Mims I would have picked higher. Plus, Akers was still on the board. Zach Moss at that position is fine, especially since they drop off after him. Don't like the Jordan Love pick when you could have addressed tight end. So again, short and sweet, but C+ out of AIDS Ted there. We are now back to some gibberish. So Gibberish wrote about his own team. It's only fitting that I read his own take on his own team. His title was "These draft picks better work out." He writes basically Morts 2.0. The team is decent with good players all across the board and some decent, but again, just not enough. Wait, what? This team is decent with good players all across the board and some decent, but again, just not enough to win the league. The potential is there with players like Kamara, Sanders, Diggs, McLaurin, Judy, but at some point, someone has to become a superstar in order for this team to succeed. Otherwise, it's the middle of the board, as was the case in the first seasons. So he's a little more self-deprecating. You think he's going to do better than he does, Eriks. So.
That's his way. Yeah, you should play Madden with him. He's always the negative Nancy.
Yeah,
that's how he wins. Yeah, he gets into your mind and then he just destroys you.
Mind game. Okay, so I just got destroyed by Giannis here. Is that what you're telling me? I just got fucked?
Yes, pretty much.
Damn it. All right, good on you, Giannis. You got me. All right, we're going on to what might be my least favorite person in the league just because of their stance on taxi squads, but fucking Jonno, or Yono, I don't know if this is a Latvian or not, but Jonno, Yono.
He's British. Yeah.
Oh, this is the British guy? All right, we're going with Jonno then. Josh, tell us more about this bastard Jonno.
Yeah, John O. I read his list of quarterbacks and almost logged off for the night because I was wondering how someone could have such trash with Jameis, Carson, someone named Philip Walker. And then I realized Kyler Murray actually is a quarterback.
Kyler Murray is projected to be super good.
Yeah, no, I know. And so thankfully he has him. Carson, if he stays healthy, he should be fine, but they did just draft a QB, so who knows? And honestly, I don't even know who Philip Walker is. I wasn't paying any attention whatsoever about that. So maybe it's Tom Brady 2.0. Who knows? Running backs, he has Ingram. That's really the only thing in this lineup that gives me any hope is Mark Ingram and his 31, 32-year-old Lamar Jackson pump-up man. I guess Devonta Freeman is there. I don't know. Is he still in Atlanta?
Devonta Freeman's a free agent at the moment. He is not on a team. He's holding out for big bucks.
Yeah. So running backs probably want to address. I mean, he did with Akers, so he'll be putting in Ingram and Akers and hoping that none of them get hurt. He has solid wide receivers in Hill and Brown. I believe when I said Brown, I meant AJ Brown.
Not Antonio?
Nope, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. Hopefully TY can return to form, and then he can find some help with Cooks and other guys throughout that roster. Roby Anderson. For tight ends, he has OJ Howard. And hopefully he doesn't piss off Arians and get replaced by Gronk, even though Gronk's on the IR. And so otherwise it's Young there. Otherwise Vance McDonald, he's okay. Jimmy Graham is in Chicago and has to fight off 9 other tight ends. His draft only gets as much effort as picks that he put in. So 2 picks.
That's his grade is 2?
That's my summary of his draft.
2 picks? Excellent. Good draft grade, Josh. All right, Eriks, what do you think about our boy Jonno here?
Well, he's been unusually quiet this offseason, so I don't have much to make fun of him, unfortunately. but yeah, he has Jamie Winston, who declared himself the greatest of all time a couple of days ago, I think.
Because he is.
Yeah, sure, as a backup. Then he gets, if Wentz goes down, you're fucked with the QB situation. Oh no, he has Kyler Murray as well, so I guess he'll be fine. He's really shaky at running back. Even Ingram, who knows how the season ends. Dobbins could become a starter faster than everyone else expects him. Tight ends, basically non-existent. McDonald was replaced by Ebron. And Howard, if Brady is on the team, he'll probably vouch for Gronk to play or over Howard. And I don't know what's the deal with him and Arians. They didn't seem to get along last season. But yeah, there's a bit better situation with the wide receivers, and I can feel a rebuild incoming for this team. That's about it from me.
So if you can feel a rebuild incoming, does that mean you think they're going to be trash this year?
Yeah, I have him projected at the lower half of the league.
Ooh, sorry, Jonno. Maybe if you were to change your opinion about taxi squads, you could get up to that top tier, but until you keep being my main voice of opposition, I'm going to have to just keep burying you. All right, so draft grades by AIDS Ted. Similar to Josh, he did not give a grade. He said not applicable. Can't really give an in-depth analysis on 2 picks, but love getting Akers at 6. There's an argument for CD instead of one of the top 5 backs, but you need running back more than wide receiver. So the only pick of note, as you guys have all put it so far, is Cam Akers at 6. Now this is Jack's turn in the Gibberish and Jack exchange as the Jack of all grades. He doesn't have quite the pessimistic attitude towards the quarterbacks here. Jack thinks he's fine with Kyler and Carson. For running back, I left a note in here because I was just going through Jack's big document and just copying and pasting little sentences, trying to take it out of context to make it look negative or dramatic. But for the running backs here on Jonno's team, I really couldn't. But overall, Jack had a lot of good things to say about his running back core, at least the ones that were there. Maybe he should have more, but for wide receivers, Jack said he likes your wide receiver room because of Tyreek especially, but the rest of your guys are so boom and bust, it's hard to trust. For tight end, Jack says your tight end situation is pretty gross. So I got that going for you, Jonno. And then in summary, Jack of all grades writes, overall your team is kind of right in the middle. Don't think you're good enough to win, but could see you being the 5, 6, or 7 seed for the next couple of years with no major changes. Might hurt you since you aren't bad enough to improve, but if you can find a way to get a startable tight end plus maybe a more solid wide receiver 2 or a running back 2, you'd be right there. I think you can package Wentz and something to get one of the options somewhere and then make the jump to top 4. So that was the Jack of all grades. All right, Josh, let's go ahead and hit up Bendy on a Bender, a.k.a. Bowling Gary. Let's hear that.
Yeah. So I found the quarterbacks. Every team, like I said earlier, this league, I remember having a struggle to find backup quarterbacks or benchable quarterbacks. I found them all. They're all on his roster, everybody. And yet I would only start 2 of them in Burrow and Watson. I'm not a big fan of Big Ben. These days, Joe Flacco is done. Drew Lock, potentially, depending on how he develops, but it's Denver, and John Elway doesn't want to have a great quarterback in Denver that's not named John Elway. He also has Mason Rudolph. So, oh God, I lost my mouse. There it is. Hi. Mason Rudolph. So unless he stops being racist, which probably won't happen, that's unfortunate player to have. Sorry. Josh Rosen. I don't know. He has them. Running backs, I do like Jacobs, Singletary, Madison. And then if Singletary gets replaced, then he might toss in Lindsey if he gets back into his rookie form. He wasn't that promising last year. He had some ups and downs. But overall, his running backs aren't too bad. But after those guys, it falls off. Rojo hopefully can find some playing time. Same with Royce Freeman. And yeah, wide receivers, not a bad list. A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp. He got Ayuk, Evans, and then he's got depth. So hoping that some of those guys step up if needed. Devontae Parker, one of those guys. Amari Cooper's in there. I didn't even notice that in my first go around. Riley Ridley in Chicago. Yeah, so he has solid depth there.
Not a porn star?
What?
No. You guys aren't too big prawn fans? Never mind. It's supposed to be a joke. Continue.
But I said that I asked him if he knows that he can only start one tight end, considering he has 13 on his roster. But when he does realize it, I think he's going to end up starting Hawkinson in Detroit there. So, and if he goes down, he still has 14 more to choose from, including one of the ones he just drafted. It's the Chicago Bears of the league. Draft, he had 5 picks. Burrow might not have been needed based on who's available. I didn't necessarily look at the draft board to see who else he could have taken at 7, just because he has Deshaun Watson and Drew Lock and Mason Rudolph as youth there. But after that, I think that he had a solid draft. He took players of need in the running backs, and then he got Brandon Yuck in San Fran and Cole Kmet in Chicago.
Drop Eriks.
All right, so this is the son of a bitch that stole my thunder.
Ooh, okay, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
Time. Yeah. So before the draft, I have the 4th pick of the first round. I have the 10th pick of the first round, and I have the 2nd pick of the 2nd round.
Brag about it.
Micah, he's a Bengals fan. He wants to trade up to my 2nd rounder, which is basically the 14th pick of the draft. So I figure, I'll trade him the pick, and then I'll pick Burrows with 110 because he's a Bengals fan, and I just want to troll him. So we get into that. So yada yada yada. He somehow gets the 9th pick. So basically, that the plan doesn't work for me. I start to talk with Luca about the 7th pick. I want to trade up because I still want to steal Burrow from him. And then this fucking idiot takes him with the 7th pick. So yeah. Thankfully I didn't trade up or down or anything, but yeah, he stole my fucking thunder.
Sounds like we both had a comparable experience with Micah here. Bastard was just fleecing us in the trade or in the draft. Yep. So yeah, also I have written down about Benny. It's nice that you updated your trade block once in 3 years, but it would be even nicer if you responded to trade offers and messages. So yeah, so the Burrow pick, I believe the Burrow pick, I think he just got greedy, and now maybe he tries to trade Burrow to Micah for for his half of his team or anything, but it doesn't seem to be working because he's still on your squad. So yeah, overall the team, it's a middle of the pack team. I'm not too sure about Lindsey because Melvin Gordon is there. I think Gordon will be the main back. Jones, we'll see what happens with Jones and Vaughn. Singletary, Moss, everybody has a shaky situation over there.
So yeah, my advice is to actually start trading all the assets you're hoarding, and if you do that, you could become a contender pretty quick. So yeah, that's about it for me.
All right, draft grades by AIDS Ted. C- for Benny here. Must have been on a bender when drafting, according to AIDS Ted. Honestly, what the fuck? Why do you have so many tight ends? Why is, I can't even pronounce that guy's name, Olamide Zacchaeus? I don't know. Why is that person on your team? Is this secretly Rick Spielman? Does he trade out of the first 3 round picks and take a ton of lottery picks? He picked Burrow with CD on the board. He has quarterbacks already. Ayuk is fine. K-Med is a bit of a reach, but Eno is a nice pickup in the 4th. So again, C- for Benny Bender here. Benny on a bender. And this is back to gibberish from Giannis here. A whole lot of question marks, according to Giannis. Benny's whole roster is one huge question mark. Will Watson be any good this year without Hopkins? Seeing as the rest of the Texans wide receiver corp was mostly injured for the last couple of seasons. What will Burrow's career look like? A whole list of running backs that have seemingly lost their starting jobs. And why on earth should any team have 10 tight ends on their roster? A decent team on paper, but will they have a consistent performance? I don't think so. Nope, I don't think so, Giannis. I'll just go ahead and answer that question for you. Probably not so much. For what it's worth, I did message Benny once about a trade, and he did respond to me. So he's out there. He's just quite the lurker / quiet type guy. All right, Josh, do you want to hit us up with... Ooh, Eriks is up. Ooh, make sure to just fucking rake him over the coals. Let's roast this fucker. He won the first year. He knocked us out of the playoffs, if I recall correctly.
That is true.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
So I said when Breeze gets run out of New Orleans for being a racist, Bridgewater will be the savior. I mean, he stepped up when Breeze was out last year. But Ryan and Allen are going to be...
Bridgewater plays for the Panthers, right?
Bridgewater isn't on Saints anymore. Yeah.
Well, I went off the spreadsheet that Garlic provided.
That was pulled from the API of Sleeper, so you can blame Sleeper.
All right, well, Sleeper, get it together.
Bridgewater is the starting quarterback of the Panthers now.
Facts.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. So yeah, no, that makes your 3 QBs pretty solid. I like it. Running backs, J.K. Dobbs in the first. I like that pick. I think that he's going to be going into a run-first offense in Baltimore and replacing Ingram, because Ingram, like we said earlier, he's getting older. And so they might even try to work him in as soon as midway through the season. Until then, you have Zeke and Kareth White. Did I make a joke there? Yes, I did. Zeke and Kareth White to carry your team. But now you have Melvin Gordon, Raheem Mostert. He, depending on who gets the call there in San Fran. I actually like Dare Okeechobee in Tampa Bay, and then Le'Veon as well in New York. Your running back core makes you a solid contender for 6th place this season, I think. Darren Waller, I don't know why he's listed as a wide receiver here. Did he get dual placement
Josh.
in Sleeper?
I don't think so, no. Probably.
No, he's listed as a wide receiver in this. But I also like that alien lizard on your roster, Alan Lazard. I do think that he's going to be the number 2 in Green Bay. And then I said drop Jason Witten right now, please. I don't know why he's there. Evan Ingram, Adam, never mind. You can keep Witten, drop Shaheen. Overall, I like your draft. Dobbins is a solid pick, but then also getting Claypool and then Hamler. They're in offenses that are on struggling teams right now as far as just finding their niche in offense. And Claypool has that chance to step up in Pittsburgh, and then Hamler has that opportunity in Denver as well.
All right, Eriks, tell us why you're going to come in dead last this year. Let's hear it.
1st place. I've got nothing more to add. That's it. No, I didn't analyze my own team. Yeah, so
Didn't analyze your own team? Okay, well I guess you're gonna get both the gibberish and the jack of all grades this time then. All right, so you really don't want to analyze your own team? You don't want to tell us why you're so great?
I'll hear their what everyone else has to say, and then I'll maybe defend myself.
Oh, look at this humble guy. Speak softly, carry big stick, and all that. All right, Teddy. Draft grades by AIDS Ted. You got a B+ here from AIDS Ted. This guy is a maniac. His roster year to year must look like a new team. Love the Dobbins pick and then taking shots on athletic, high potential guys in the third round. For a guy who's made so many trades, I really like his draft. So it is worth noting, Eriks, just in trades either from the year or involving draft picks for 2020, you have made 18 fucking trades. That is, I think, 5 or 7 more than the next guy. So.
Oh wow! Yeah, I didn't even realize it's that much, but
yeah, 18 trades. And now I'm curious. I'm going to go look real quick, and I'm pretty sure Smith is next on the list for most. Now Smith is at 13, so 18. You have 5 more than the next guy. Are you trying to overcompensate for something, or why do you trade so often?
I don't know. I usually don't start the trade talks. Everyone's just keep offering me something, and I don't know. Some trades have bitten me in my ass. I remember when we just started, I think week 2, I traded away McCaffrey for I don't even remember for what. But yeah, I still regret that trade, but some trades have worked out pretty well from me, I think. Yeah, I flipped. I remember last year I had Derrick Henry. I flipped him for Gurley. That was before all his knee issues started to take place, so that was a pretty good play. And after that, I flipped Gurley for Zeke. So yeah, I managed somehow to trade Antonio Brown away for a first and a second. So that's probably the highlight of my trades. Yeah. But then again, I traded away 3rd and 4th round picks for Alex Collins. Yeah.
So we have Micka, whatever in the chat here. He says, "Doing great, guys. It's pronounced Mick with an A." So is he saying Mick A or Micka? Your pronunciation assistance does not help me in the chat there, Micka.
Or Mickey. Yeah. So
Mickey Mouse.
I don't know how Australians pronounce each other.
I always assumed Micka, but I heard you say Micah, so then I followed in your footsteps. Thanks for leading me astray yet again, Kamesh. Appreciate you. All right, so we got some gibberish from Janis here. He says, "All About Natty Ice" is the title. The most complete team out there, in my opinion. A good mix of running backs and wide receivers. Also, Matt Ryan is due for a great season if you look at the trend from previous seasons. I think Matt Ryan does the every other thing. So he predicted Eriks to win the league this season, even if he doesn't know how to run the league properly. Oof. So it looks like you and your buddy were looking out for each other there. But he thinks you're going to be in the ship.
Roster baiting each other.
Roster baiting each other? Do you guys get together and do that in person or what?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
All right, so now we got the jack of all trades summary because we're doing both for Eriks because he is being a humble man and not analyzing himself. Quarterback. Very strong quarterbacks, probably strongest I've seen so far from top to bottom. You have 4 solid, for running back, you have 4 solid guys who could start every week. For wide receiver, Julio is awesome but getting older, and beyond that, you've got a lot of question marks. For tight end, he says, you've got 1 top option in Ingram, but a bunch of no names after that. In summary, Jack writes, in my opinion, you're 1 good wide receiver away from being a top 3 to 4 team for the next couple of years. Though you need to be thinking about contingency plans for tight end or Julio soon, too, so... Hey, Jack. Too, so you don't drop down to the middle of the pack, stuck at those 2 positions since you don't have a lot of young or up-and-coming options. So Jack was pretty flattery there at each position, but in summary, he kind of seemed to dial it back a little bit. So you said you might defend yourself. I don't think everyone seemed to be very complimentary of your team, so not a whole lot to defend, but...
Well, I don't think Darren Waller is a no-name at tight end position. So, but I mean, to each their own. Yeah, I do agree with wide receivers. But hopefully the Browns will step up with the real coach this year. So Landry
Stefanski
hopefully saves me. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Stefanski is better than Kitchens. I could be better than Kitchens. So.
Yes! Former Vikings coach right there, if you didn't know, for about 18,000 years. He was there when Brett Favre was there, so maybe he can turn Baker into the next Favre. All right.
We'll see what happens with Lazard, maybe Hakeem Butler. We still haven't seen him play. So, and for flex, maybe something from Deshaun Jackson, Larry Fitzgerald. But yeah, still definitely need some help over there.
I happen to know a guy who's got a bunch of young wide receivers if you happen to be, in the market. But we'll take that offline, as the business people would say.
All right.
All right. All right, so just we're on to Micka here. Josh, I'll let you go in a sec, but Micka writes again in the chat, Garlic was right. Fuck the weak commish. So we got that going.
It's all right, Micka. It's good that we have Micah next. Yeah. And I'm going to call you Micah.
Ooh, I can feel the rivalry brewing here. All right, tell us more about Micka, Josh.
Our Mick with an A, the second one. I said Gardner Minshew is going to lead him to the promised land. I've been a big Minshew maniac since day one, mainly because of the mustache. But if for whatever reason he is not God tier, you did take Tua, so good job there. Running backs, Nick Chubb, Kenyon Drake. Wait, yep. And that's kind of, I was actually asking him who else he's going to put in there. I think you only start 2 in this league, so it's not like it's the end of the world. But you're probably banking on somebody panning out, and I don't think it's going to be anybody on your roster at this time, just because of the backfields they're in. Your wide receiver core, obviously, I'm going to be a big fan of Devontae Adams. You have Godwin, Kirk, and then you took Raygor in the first, as well as Justin Jefferson. You should be set there. I would think that you could use some of those guys to trade for a running back. Pretty solid one, too. Kitty litter in your tight end position should be starting each week, but I'd love to see you sprinkle in some sprinkle.
Go fucking home. Are you kidding me?
You had 3 first-round picks, not a single running back, though. Granted, you did need a quarterback, or getting a quarterback was nice, and then those 2 wide receivers are going to help out quite a bit. I might have, depending on who was available, seen who I could have gotten. Looking now, seeing that it was pick 9, probably nobody worth reaching on. So I would say that you probably had a great draft, but still want to address kind of that 3rd running back spot.
All right, Eriks, go ahead and break down our best friend, Micah.
All right. So basically, you could Google top 50 most worthless things on Earth, and it would all consist of the trade offers that he has sent out to people.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've gotten some pretty bizarre trade offers from him. But to be so seriously, considering he finished 4th last year, it surprises me a little bit that he's so focused on rebuild now. But I mean, maybe he's preparing for a 10-year run later on. I guess he got scared for the. I had written down that I guess he got scared from the Burrow pick and ran with Tua with 110. But then I remembered that he traded away his only quarterback, so he had to go for Tua over there. That's a bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off for him. And so I'm personally not a fan of Kenyon Drake. he's definitely not the running back 4, as he tried to convince me a couple of days ago. So yeah, but overall, pretty decent rookie draft. He still has 3 first-round picks next year. So
Damn.
yeah, his team could be scary later on. And yeah. Oh, and he's a Bengals fan, so ew, disgusting.
I mean, yeah, that's disgusting. And I did see that he added something as far as he didn't say he was running back 4 as far as Kenyon Drake goes. I would think that you can't really evaluate Kenyon Drake based on his time in Miami after seeing what Tannehill did when he left. So I think that was a false sample, but you can't necessarily evaluate him fully on what he did the last few weeks in Arizona. So I think next year is going to be kind of a true showing. I'm going to predict somewhere in the middle. He might finish like a RB10, RB15 type slot, somewhere in there, just depending on how that offense gels in its second season.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I could be wrong. It's just, I haven't seen anything on Drake. It's just on my gut feeling. So take it as you want. Yeah. So
Eriks knows all. I mean, he can predict the future. So I'm gonna have to side with Eriks on that one. But anyways, going on to fucking Micka's fucking draft grade here from AIDS Ted. The fuck. Micka, he got a C from AIDS Ted, and I still think that's too high. It's hard to miss if you have 3 first-round picks, but somehow you found a way to take fucking Tua in the first round. I was going to give you a lower grade, but you redeemed yourself with Justin Jefferson and Rager, whatever. I still think your first pick could have been Vaughn or Mims or Pittman. You really lost out on a great talent for quarterback you could get in the 2nd or 3rd round. Antonio Gandy Golden, in my opinion, is a waste of a pick when there was a lot of talent on the board. So Micka gets roasted over the coals just a little bit there. Hold on, Giannis.
Gandy Golden has so many possibilities for names, though.
What would be your fantasy team name if he was on your team, Josh?
Well, can't put me on the spot like that. I need time to research.
All right. Well, moving on. This is we're back to some gibberish from Giannis here, and I scrolled past it, and his gibberish is pretty brief, actually. His title is "Running Backs Never Get Injured," right? The quarterback situation is less than optimal, and I'll believe Tua only if he actually plays and performs. But the biggest concern Micka has in the running back situation, 1 injury, and he doesn't have a legit RB2. A need he did not address in the draft. Sad. That almost reads like a Trump tweet a little bit. I appreciate that. Out of Micka there. Since that was so brief, I'm going to go ahead and give the Jack of all grades summary as well real quick. Quarterback. Bold trading away Rodgers even for a first, since you have no guaranteed quarterbacks behind him. For running backs, your running back position is hurting pretty bad too. For wide receiver, you've got 2 guys who are pretty safe bets for top 5 wide receivers. So that's a nice endorsement there, but you're going to have to find some other guys to fill in the flex. For tight ends, nothing really of note here at tight end behind your starter, but that doesn't matter when you've got Kittle. The summary from the Jack of all grades is, overall, I feel like I'd make a move with your wide receivers and or draft capital to help your running back depth or figure out a starting quarterback. I like Minshew this year, but don't like putting the faith of my dynasty team in him only. And Haskins still has a lot to prove. Until you find a safer option here, I think that's going to hold you back from being a top team. Sorry about you, Micka. Fuck you for picking Tua and then trading and then go fuck yourself. All right. Josh, hit us with that Edgars.
So Lamar Jackson got him 3rd. Without him, he probably would have finished in the top 15, maybe. So after that, I'm not a big fan of Daniel Jones and Cam Newton. I don't even think is on a team yet.
Josh, you die?
I think he froze.
Oh no, Josh. Oh, Josh, did he hear this one too many times?
I can go on with something that I've written down while you try to get back Josh in.
Yeah, sounds good. Perfect.
All right. So Edgars is probably my biggest fantasy football rival. We always seem to have those matchups that are won by 0.5 differences, but last year we faced 4 times over in 3 different leagues, and I won 3 of them. So hopefully the trend continues. His team is basically the definition of boom or bust, because like Todd Gurley, I don't know what's going to happen to him in Atlanta. He has Kareem Hunt, Derrick Henry was amazing last year, but how long he can suffer and take the ball like 30-40 times in a game. Wide receivers, he has D.D. Westbrook. I like him. Not sure about Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans. We'll see. Will Fuller, if he doesn't break a leg, he'll be good probably for some games. But yeah, I can see him winning the league, and I can see him drafting first next year. But I have him projected as a contender, most likely.
Ooh, Edgars is a contender, even with no draft picks, huh? So you think he's been adequately trading away his picks for pieces?
I think so, yeah. I mean, he still has, even though there are question marks, most of his players have really high ceiling. So, yeah, and Lamar Jackson, if he doesn't take a hit, he'll probably carry his team to the playoffs again.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. I guess I'm a believer in Lamar Jackson getting figured out at some point, but I mean, it's hard to argue with the reigning MVP, dynasty, absolute fucking champ. So we're going to give Josh a chance to get back here by me just moving on to what we would have said. Otherwise, I'll go back and do Josh's job in a sec here. But draft grades by AIDS Ted. We got another not applicable here for Edgars. All he said was he has no clue how to rank a 4th and a 5th round pick. So really didn't get a draft grade there. We'll move on to gibberish from Janis. He says, draft days give me anxiety was his title here. A similar situation as for Benny. So many what ifs. Oh, I read that wrong. A similar situation as for Benny. So many what ifs. History has proved that scrambling quarterbacks don't last, and it's only a matter of time before a nasty hit sidelines Jackson for a while. Will Henry be able to continue carrying the Titans on his back? How much more punishment can Gurley's knees take, etc., etc.? All right. Still no sign of Josh yet, so we'll move on to the Jack of all grades summary here for Edgars. Josh is just going to ghost us, I guess. For quarterbacks, Edgars, Jack says your quarterbacks are great, obviously, with the MVP as your number 1. For running backs, he writes, I feel like your running back room is good for now, not great. Maybe like a B, so if he were to give you a letter grade, it'd be a B. Wide receivers, he thinks you need some help here ASAP. For tight end, he says, I think you're probably pretty solid here. For the summary from Jack, he says, overall, I think you're pretty close to being a top 3 team yearly with your young studs at multiple positions, but you desperately need a plan for your second wide receiver. Also, running backs will only be okay as long as 1 to 2 of yours works out, which they should, but still make me nervous. So it would be nicer if you got something more secure. Until then, I think you will make the playoffs on the strength of others, but you need to fix those 2 to be a top team. Josh is still just dead. So I'll read Josh's notes here. For quarterback, Josh wrote, Lamar Jackson got you 3rd place. Without him, 15th. This is a 13-man or a 12-man league, by the way, so he came in negative 3rd there. For running back, Josh wrote, hopefully Gurley can stay healthy and Henry returns to last year form. Then you'll struggle to decide between a solid group of 6. So Josh really likes the running back room here. For wide receivers, Josh writes, Shepard, Golladay, Westbrook are likely your starters. Had you seen your opponent with that lineup, how soon would you tell everyone you won? Noon? For tight end, Josh writes, Fant should pan out, but if not, at least it's just tight end. And then for draft, he again wrote 2 picks, feeling that he can't really give a fair grade to someone who only took 2 picks. I'll look at your roster myself. Obviously, everyone's been saying they love Lamar. I really like Kareem Hunt there. I think he's going to be sneaky. I think the way Stefanski can use him in Cleveland will be good. So I like that player there. Otherwise, I mean, I don't see too many flashy names besides everyone that's been mentioned so far, like Gurley and Henry. I have Noah Fant in another fantasy league, or another dynasty league, I should say. So I think that's a good player as well. Jared Cook's about out the door, so Fant will easily replace him. Sterling Shepard has broken my heart one too many times, although I still end up taking him in most of my leagues to much of my dismay. And Kenny Golladay, of course, is your workhorse wide receiver who somehow was great despite that organization being dysfunctional. So not quite Calvin Johnson level, but not quite bottom of the league either. With still no sign of Josh, I guess we'll just move on, Eriks, unless you have anything else to say about Edgars.
I think he picked Colin Johnson with the 4th round only because it's basically C. Johnson. I know he's a huge Calvin Johnson fan. So
do you think he picked him only based on the name?
Knowing him, I'm 110% sure.
110%? That's pretty fucking sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and let you take the lead on Dubby here. I'm going to attempt to make a phone call to Josh, so I'm going to mute myself for just a second, or I'll just step away from the mic. But go ahead and tell us all about Dubby Dave, the guy who took over mine and Josh's former team.
So yeah, Dubby. This guy really puts the slow in slow draft, and he, with his first pick, even though it took him like 10, 12 hours, he still picked Henry Ruggs. Not a fan of that pick. I like him as a talent, but I really don't like the landing spot. I don't think Carr can throw, and not sure the Raiders will be able to use his speed. But it doesn't actually matter who you picked because the team is pretty stacked. I lost everything. But I like your QBs. Mahomes, obviously, the stud. You still got Breeze. If something goes wrong with him, you got Rivers as another backup. You got some flashy names, some sneaky plays at running back, some wide receivers. I don't see a reason why this team couldn't try another attempt at the ship. So yeah, I've got you predicted as a contender. That's about it from me.
All right, I'm back. Josh is allegedly joining shortly. We will see if that's real or not, but right. While we wait for Josh to figure out his life, I will read the draft grades by AIDS Ted. He gave you a C+ Dubby. He says, I'm only basing this ranking off of the first 2 picks, but I'm not a fan of Ruggs. Upside is Tyreek, good luck, and his more probably, hold on, what the hell does this say? And his more probably comp could be comparison. Okay, he did a little abbreviation on me there. And his more probably comparison would be Hollywood Brown or John Ross. A ton of talent was on the board, and you missed out on getting Bowden. Seemed like the end of a tier, and that's always a good spot to be in. So I don't know how to read some of these things that these people write, but that's what AIDS Ted thought about it. Crazy out of the chat either, so we'll go on to the gibberish from Janis. He says, enjoy it while it lasts, from Janis. That's the title there. Or Janis. There's a reason W won the league last year, so that's already wrong. Good job, Janis. But yeah. Mahomes, Thomas, and Ertz should always tilt the odds in your favor. If they remain healthy, this team will definitely be fighting for the top spot. However, the running backs are just meh, and W was really not able to improve the situation through the draft. and that Johnson and Edelman trade was highway robbery. I understand the idea, trying to win the league again while sacrificing the future, but Johnson has had problems with staying on the field, and Edelman has lost his best buddy, Brady. I just don't see him winning again this year. Janis in the chat admits he fucked up. Can't win them all.
Yeah, that trade was weird. I think he got the good old trade rate from Micka in that one.
That fucking Micka, dude. He's just terrorizing the entire league.
Yeah, I don't know. Like David Johnson, he's Mr. Universe 2016, because after that he hasn't showed anything. And yeah, Edelman without Brady, we'll see. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'm distracted for a second. So why don't you just tell me more about why? Or are you in the spreadsheet right now? Do you want to read the jack of all grades for Dubby there?
Sure, I can do it.
Oh, what a guy!
So at QB, he says, "Well, you're set at QB, and I didn't even need to look past Mahomes. At running back, you're going to need another option here ASAP. Wide receivers, Michael Thomas is a beast, but beyond that, I think you have more 3s, 4s than a 2. Tight end feels pretty solid with 2 top 12 options in Eriks and Henry. And the summary is, overall, this team didn't impress me as much as I expected leading up to the second to last team. I feel like it's decent, but with glaring holes at wide receiver 2, running back 2, and flex. Feel like you could make the playoffs on the strength on Mahomes and Thomas alone, but don't see you ever winning the championship unless you make some serious moves to get other pieces needed."
Right. And so while I'm still distracting you, but I can also ask you a question while pretty much going on auto drive here, autopilot. So obviously I've mentioned it a couple times. This was mine and Josh's former team. This is the team that Josh and I drafted in the beginning, and that's still a podcast out there for anyone who wants to go back to 2018. But so I remember I asked you about it at the time, but essentially Josh and I ended up just switching teams. And I don't think, did anyone ever cause a fuss to you about that, or did anyone ever say anything? Or, because I felt weird about that for a while.
Actually, no. I felt like I was bamboozled a bit, but no one actually has ever brought that up. And considering that you finised, like, I don't know, 9th,
all right,
think anyone has a problem with that.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, because I don't know I guess Josh never said anything to me about it beforehand, but when I left his team to take over the other team, I don't know, I guess he just didn't really say much of anything at all. And then, what was it, a couple weeks later, he's like, "Yeah, I quit." I was like, "All right, well, that's something." And then
he told me he had like too much leagues going on, so understandably he just quit. So we got a replacement and was it like 3 or 4 weeks before Josh was back, or something like that. Yeah.
Right, yeah, because I think that was why I reached out to you, because I was like, so obviously Josh quit the league, but are you cool with me bringing him back as a co-owner, because he just likes being in the chat, he enjoyed the group of guys that was in the league, or what I assume to be all guys, but so, and then yeah, he's just been my, definitely not silent co-owner, could be more silent, but doesn't pay, so I draft and I make all the lineup decisions, which is why I probably came in 9th without his input, but, so that's a little story for anyone who didn't know, who didn't, I guess, maybe didn't pay attention. Josh and I just switched teams, and the team that we gave up came in 2nd, and the team we took came in 9th, so looks like we got fucked yet again. All right, well, since Josh still isn't joining, I just resent him the link. We'll move on to the last team here, and that is, his username is Smith AU. I thought he was one of the Australian guys. Turns out he's not, unless he moved to the Pacific time zone at some point, but Smith, he came in 1st place last year. He is our reigning, defending champion. So, Eriks, let's let you go first. What do you think about Smith here?
So I don't have much shit to talk about this team, because with the moves he's made, he's proven himself to be a great fantasy team owner. he turned around his team from 11th place a year ago to win the championship this year. The QB situation is a bit shaky. We'll see what happens with Baker Mayfield, with Stefanski and the new system. Running backs are solid with McCaffrey and Cook. I don't think Cook will hold out because of the bargaining agreement, the CBA that they just signed. Juju is supposed to have a bounce back year as well. But I see some problems with the wide receivers, but the way he makes trades, I'm more than sure he'll address that in the coming weeks or maybe during the season, and he's probably one of my top projections to win the league again. So,
you think he'll win the league again? So this is.
I'll win the league again, but
little change of tune there. Wow, that was something right there. I thought for sure you just gave up yourself, but I guess not.
No.
All right, so apparently Josh says he's waiting for approval. Everyone can see the screen I'm sharing right now. I don't see anywhere for me to approve someone like this with Zoom. I assume I would get some sort of notification, which I don't see anywhere.
I think he has to click to join now, or at least that was the case with me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Josh is possibly intoxicated, even though it's only 3 p.m. for us. Maybe he spent all morning drinking it, which is why he couldn't do it until this afternoon. But Josh, you can see the screen I see if you're watching the stream. You can see I don't have any sort of pop-up to allow you in. There's no email in the Hidden Oaks email box, so I don't know how to help you. I'll try one more thing. Nope, that doesn't do it either. So I don't know, Josh. I guess you're fucked unless you're just fucking us, so not much I can do about it, I don't think. Anywho, all right, so we're going to Smith, a reigning defending champion. So this is the guy you traded Dalvin to, right? Because he still has Dalvin, or did Dalvin get to him from someone else?
I think we made that trade, yeah.
Okay, and you said you regret it, you don't regret it?
No, I don't regret it. I do love Dalvin Cook as a running back, but he just can't seem to stay on the field. So you're a Vikings fan. What do you think about him? Will he hold out, or what's your take on the situation?
Well, for Dalvin, I mean, I personally almost always side with the players in like the player-owner dispute, because I think it's way too easy for the owners to get the better PR and to have more leverage, being, the cliches, it's the millionaires versus the billionaires. So I usually tend with the smaller fish, which in this case is the millionaires. So, I mean, Dalvin's just using every technique in his book to try and get a good deal. Josh, I don't think Josh and I talked about it on a pod because we haven't had a pod, but there's like 10 to 15 running backs who are all really good, who will all be free agents this year. So it looks like Dalvin Cook is trying to get his money now versus waiting and being in all that competition next year. So I personally think the Vikings will end up paying him. It's hard to say I think the figures have been that they have offered him $8 million a year. I didn't see a term on that for how long it is. And he's seeking like 13, which is David Johnson money. So I'd be fine as a Vikings fan paying him like 10 to 12, honestly. I know a lot of people would say that's too much for a running back, but I don't really care what their opinion is. Dalvin is easily a dynamic player. Yeah, he has injury history, but as Josh always used to tell me in Aaron Rodgers arguments, you pay for what you see on the field. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he'll get signed unless he is demanding Christian McCaffrey money and stays firm. If they compromise somewhere from 10 to 12, I think he'll sign. Otherwise, if he's asking for too much, then they'll let him walk for sure.
All right. So yeah, I just scrolled back. I see that I got Engram and a 2019 first. I don't remember. Oh, I do remember what I got with that pick.
What'd you get with that pick?
Hakeem Butler, who hasn't played yet. Yeah, so might have lost that trade, but we'll see. I did get Evan Engram.
Yeah.
So, which is a help at tight end position. And I still have pretty decent running back core, so it all worked out.
Right. All right. Well, since we will not get a Josh here, I'll just move on to the draft grades by AIDS Ted. He gave an A to Smith here. First of all, love the upside and guys on this team. Honestly, I love the value got in the second round. Could have been first-round picks if you wanted to reach. He notes he got Vaughn late, and LaVisca is a gadget guy, but has upside. And Brian Edwards is way too slept on. If I had these picks, this is exactly what I would have done. Great job. My only straight A of the draft. So, high endorsement there from AIDS Ted. We'll move on to Josh's takes here, since Josh is not here to read them himself. He wrote solid with Baker and Sam for quarterback. So Josh likes your quarterbacks. For running backs, he says CMC, Cook, Fournette, and adding Vaughn, who I like, make this the best group. Undeniably, I think everyone in the league would agree that Smith has the best running back group. Can't argue there. For wide receiver, Josh writes, a lot of youth and talent. Nuck, Juju, good pronunciation or good conjunction there, Josh. Nuck, Juju will anchor for years, and Campbell Samuel should develop nice too. For tight end, Josh writes, love me some Jonno Smith and Dallas Goedert. Sternberger is fast and worth holding on to due to the slower tight end development. I'm sure Josh is not biased in any way by being a Packers fan. And then we have more gibberish from Janis here, which is going to be extra salty gibberish because Janis is wrong yet again. His title is Close But No Cigar. The best group of running backs out there and wide receivers are not bad either. The quarterback and tight end situation is the reason why this team will struggle to win the league. I just don't see it. And he overpaid for Juju. So I guess I thought the body of that would reference him coming in second place, but it didn't. But I assume what he means by close but no cigar is he thinks that Smith came in second when he actually won the league. So I'm going to go ahead and make that assumption. Janis, you can let me know in the chat if that's true or false. Josh says he
funny
believes
that
Putin.
he thinks that he overpaid for Juju because I got Juju from him for Kerryon Johnson, Tyrell Williams, and some draft pick. I don't remember which round, but it wasn't like first or second. And later on, I flipped Juju for a first rounder, Julio Jones, Darren Waller, and something else, some picks. Yeah.
Here, I'll find this trade. So yeah, it was January 31st of this year. So Eriks, you got Julio Jones, Darren Waller, a 2023 and a 2021 second. That was all in exchange for Juju. So do you think that is or isn't overpaying for Juju? Because obviously you're on the other end of that trade. Was that trade rape, or do you think that was a fair deal?
I think I won that trade. I believe it was more fair than what I paid for Juju. Because here I go. I found the trade. I got Juju for Juju and a fourth rounder this year for Tyrell Williams, Kerryon Johnson, and a second rounder. So seeing how Kerryon is right now, probably the backup. Tyrell Williams, we'll see what happens with him on the Raiders. Yeah, so I do believe I won both those trades. Yeah.
So would you ever accept a trade that you think like you lost? Yeah. Well, I wouldn't like accept it on the spot, but I can admit my defeats. Yeah, later on. So you can look back, but so obviously this trade that just happened in January, you think you won the trade, but obviously no games have happened, so no one really knows for sure.
That is true. Yeah.
Janis came out in the chat and said it's more of the close but no cigar bit is more of an outlook for next season. I don't see him repeating. So I guess he thought there was two champions, I guess.
Good for you, man. You just stay and die on that hill.
And then, so Janis also writes, well, I just got sick and tired of Eriks begging for Juju like every single day. So he's trying to defend himself for losing the trade. So I guess you must have reached out a lot there to make that happen. Little Steelers fandom there.
I was harassing him a lot. Oof. Yeah, about.
All right, and then he also writes, wasn't a bit of a slump back then, to be honest. So He's trying to defend trading away Juju yet again. He's a bit of a slump. He was sick and tired of the harassment. So I guess if you want to trade with Janis or Jonklins or whatever the fuck you pronounce his name, just harass him and then he'll eventually cave. So a little free advice to everyone else in the league.
That's pretty much it, yeah. But don't worry, I mean, I traded away McCaffrey for, I don't know, for basically a bag of nuts. Yeah.
You've traded away McCaffrey and Cook, so I mean, it's whatever.
All right. Yeah.
All right, so this is the last portion of the last guy. This is the Jack of all grades summary for Smith, or Smithow, or Smith-AU, whatever. For quarterbacks, he says, definitely don't love your quarterbacks. How did you win the championship with these guys? For running back, Jack writes, CMC and Cook is a scary as hell backfield, with Fournette as an amazing third option. For wide receiver, Jack writes, same here, with no real options at wide receiver after your top three, but who cares when you've got Hopkins, Juju, and Debo? For tight end, Jack writes, tight end is your weakest position, but you've got a lot of potential. In summary, Jack writes, for Smith, overall I can see why your team was this year's champion. Mostly because you have the best, if not top three of both running backs and wide receivers, which is tough to beat no matter who you have at quarterback. That being said, I'd try to make a move for a top 12 quarterback because that's the only thing that could derail you. I do like Baker more than most this year, but would be nice to have more security, even after you have to give up some tight end, backup running backs or receivers, or future draft picks. So Jack thinks Smith's got a chance here, just needs to maybe secure that quarterback room. Micah writes, Juju isn't even good. So we got that in the chat as well.
Well, you take it as you want it from a Bengals fan. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's something I forgot to
you
ask.
You wouldn't know Good if Good was dancing naked in front of him.
All right, so this is something I should have asked you earlier in the little interview section. Why are you a Steelers fan? Well, how did you become a Steelers fan out of your football introduction?
It was mostly because in my first year when I was playing. So basically, I drafted first for my fantasy team. I haven't watched any football game ever in my life. So it's just so happened that I drafted Roethlisberger as my QB. That was basically 5 years ago in 2015. So basically, yeah, just started to follow the Steelers, and from there on out.
All right. So I have to make sure I don't forget. So we had submissions from Janis, and then Connor and Jack as well, who are outside the league. Micka was nice enough to send us an email, so I'm going to go ahead and read through that real quick, just so I make sure I respect the man for taking time out of his day. I'll just read his email verbatim. I'll probably butchering a few sentences. Not entirely sure what you want us to send, so I'll just send some trash talk and my best and worst. Best draft, me. So already pretty humble guy, thinks he had the best draft. For the worst draft, he picked Dubby Dave. For the best trade, he thinks it was Droppin to move to 1, so Droppin trading up to the first pick. For the worst trade, he wrote not sure, so I'm glad you wrote out the word worst trade like you're going to give me opinion and then said not sure. That's great, Mick. I appreciate that. Best pick, he thinks Eriks with Chase Claypool in the 3rd. You got his best pick, despite you and I both
and the Steelers the receiver.
Yeah, that's something there. For his worst pick, he said Joe Burrow, mostly because he has a 24-year-old Watson on the roster and CeeDee Lamb was there, and a little because he sniped him from me. So I guess you were right. Micka wanted Burrow all along. Just didn't quite get what he wanted. He also writes, all in all, was a really good draft with some hiccups brought to us by time zones. But this year had a lot of talking. Most people in the league participated in some way. My draft in particular. All right, Micka writes, I had some great talks to some people. Had a lot of fun with Garlic, Luca, and Eriks. I wouldn't call it fun, you jackass. But got some absolutely crazy trade proposals. Overpays and underpays. I won't be calling people out by name, though. I'm happy with how mine turned out, and I had a plan at the start to try and get younger and I tried to get younger at most positions and get rid of my older players in a rebuild year. Score multiple firsts in next year's draft and my wide receivers and QBs of the future. Very weak at running back. But not the weakest in the league. Found out there's a few people that rate their team much higher than I do, and I believe they can compare with what I see as a very weak roster. Worst thing you can do in Dynasty is keep coming mid-pack. That was the beautiful email from the Micka. So, Eriks, do you have anything else you want to say? Do you want to address the league, tell us why you suck, give a little presidential decree, or you feel like you've said everything you need to say?
I think I've said enough. Just pay your dues because I'll need them come December and when I'm in first place. Otherwise, thank you for having me here. It was fun. We could do this some other time, maybe. Bring back BSB podcasts.
Easy. Overreaching a little bit there. You're not paying us, okay? We do this for free. We've got our own. No, just kidding. Yeah, but we can definitely talk about it. So I will say that. So thank you again to Jack, who wrote a 13-page, 6,000-word document that is in Eriks' hands now, along with Connor's draft grades and Janis's gibberish and Micka's email. So I kind of proposed to you.
I'll reformat that and I'll post that to our sleeper chat, probably as a Google Doc, and pin it so everyone can go in and take a look.
Beautiful. So I wanted to bring that up so people know that obviously we talked for, I don't have the time up here. How long have we been talking? We're about to hit the 2-hour mark for recording audio, so it's been a little bit longer on the stream. You've been obviously sitting around for even longer than that. But do you have an ETA on when that additional content might be out? I know you have a day job, but it's also the weekend, so what do you think? When can the people look forward to that?
Probably tomorrow or Monday. Yeah, next 2 days. It's going to be soon, yeah.
All right, so BSB League, be on the lookout for even more breakdown of your team. I know, like I said, Jack went above and beyond for my league, did it again for this league. Really appreciate him doing that. So look out for those Google Docs in the sleeper chat. If that's all you got, Eriks is all I've got. I'll assume that's all Josh has got because he never came back. To everyone out there who's listening, go ahead and stay safe. Thank you again to everyone who contributed or who listened and chatted along. Don't forget about our journey to 100 subscribers on YouTube. Eriks, I don't know if you subscribed on YouTube yet, but do it. Have your mom do it. Have your grandma do it. Everyone you've ever met, just get us to that 100 number, and then we'll never have to care about it again.
Yeah, I'm one of the 7. It seems. Yeah.
Shout out to Eriks for being one of the 7. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the 7 too on my other personal account. So we just want to get to 100 so we can get a custom URL. That's all we care about. We don't actually care about making money on YouTube. We do this all for free, so no monetization will come your way. But get us to 100, and we will appreciate you. Don't forget, hiddenoaksoverdose@gmail.com, facebook.com/hoodpod, or anchor.fm/hoodpod are all the places you can engage us, and we can engage you back. Eriks, I really appreciate you taking the time. Is it past your bedtime over there? It's what, 11:30 right now?
Yeah, 11:30. I'll probably still be up for an hour or two.
Are you still in that? Because you used to be a bartender. You're saying you're transitioning. I don't know if you're still a bartender, if that was a long time ago. So you're pretty used to being nocturnal then, or?
Mostly, yeah.
When is bar close over there?
I'm trying to shift more to the day side, yeah. But I usually go to bed at like midnight, 1 a.m.
Oh, that's not so bad. What time is bar close over there? Because like for here it would be 1 or 2 a.m. to close and then probably work for another hour cleaning up. When's bar close in Latvia?
They don't have a specific time. Basically, if you latest nightclubs close at like 6, 7 a.m. So
shit.
There are no restrictions. You can party all night long.
I guess there's not any restrictions here. I just meant the typical was 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.
Oh,
but so when did your close then? If you're going to bed by midnight 1, or is that just a normal night not working?
Well, for the last year, I worked at a restaurant, so that's usually closed at like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. But before that, I did work at the cocktail bar. That was closing at 2 a.m., so then I did go to bed at like 4 a.m.
Okay, but it's been a bit since then. Okay. All right, Eriks. Well, fittingly, since it's 11:30 for you, I know you said you'll be up for a bit, but the name of our outro song that we've played since the beginning is called Go to Sleep. So I'm not going to say you have to go to sleep, but that's what the folks are going to hear. Eriks, it's been a pleasure. People in the chat, it's been a pleasure. Josh, go fuck yourself. Oh, no, the volume's not up. There we go. So sometimes we just chat here, sometimes we don't. You can feel free to hang up whenever you want.
It was fun.
Yeah. Now the problem is if we get too many people in the BSB League listening, they're going to want an every week podcast, and that's a lot of commitment out of Josh. I don't know if you can do that. You saw how today went.
Well, that's the plan. I see you have 8 subscribers now, so I mean, we got you a subscriber.
8! All right. Eriks, that's the Eriks bump right there. We got an extra subscriber just from you.
So I think BSB has the good podcast there once again. But I mean, you do you, yeah. So
yeah, we'll see how she goes. I'm gonna end the stream on YouTube now, YouTube people. See you later. Also gonna end the audio stream. Eriks, like I said, it's been a pleasure, and I'm probably gonna hang up on you now.